Good day, good evening, everyone, and welcome to race 4 of the FAI eSports Series 2025. I'm Antoine Ave, and I'm here today with Witold Rozak. Good evening, Witold.
Good evening, Antoine. Good evening, everybody.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. You?
I'm very good. We've had a wonderful flight this afternoon for race 3. It was a race in Slovenia, in the flatlands there. Quite nice weather. A little bit of rain showers and thunderstorms after turn point 2, so it was really interesting for the pilots. You can go on our Facebook or Instagram channels to have a look at the few screenshots that we posted there, and you can see the rain showers and what it was looking like this afternoon. Shall we talk quickly about the results from race 3 that were official just 2 hours ago, Witold? Do you have a few names?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the results from the third race. It looks like Frank is doing great so far. He's been flying very consistently. He scored lots of points in all 3 races, and as a result of that, he's now in the first position. We had Sander and Tees, really. Sorry, I'm really struggling pronouncing your name, but those are the guys who were the top 3 at the end of the race number 3, which means that now in overall standings, Frank is in the first position. Then we've got Maciej Cieślak, Victor Lima Zulu in the second position. Looks like Maciej has been flying quite consistently in the first 3 races. So that's great to see him in the top 3. And in the third place, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. We've got Arne Martin Gertler, who is our current world champion in this format, which is a Grand Prix races. So that's what's happening on the top of the standings right now, and I'm really looking forward to see what will happen in this race number 4 that we are just about to see.
Thank you, Witold. So let's have a look at the race that we're going to have tonight. Race 4. Thank you. So we're on the 2D view now, and as you can see, we have a 227 kilometers race tonight. We are still flying the Diana 2. Everyone is flying the same gliders at 45 kilo per meter square. Max speed to cross the start line is 170 kph ground speed as usual, with a maximum start altitude of 1,600 meters. Where are we tonight? We are in Austria, very close to Klagenfurt. Actually, the start is just northeast of the airfield of Klagenfurt, an international airport. Then they will go up to the north to Pols. That's the name of turn point 1, where the weather is going to get interesting there because the thermals are going to be weak with a lot of cirrus clouds, overcast clouds there. And then the pilots will need to get out from this turn point 1, which is going to be tricky, to go to Slovensk Hradec in Slovenia, turn point 2 right there. And just before reaching the Slovenian border, we're going to have very good conditions. The cumuluses are going to be thinner, but the thermals are going to get stronger there with a higher ceiling. Then they will go back to Austria to turn point 3, St. Paul, and then they will turn to the west towards the reporting point to align with the airfield of Klagenfurt. And as you can see, the line here, it's an international airport. They will fly along just in between the paved runway and the city of Klagenfurt to land on the short grass runway there at the airfield. So a really nice race. Minimum altitude for the arrival is 470 meters for the pilot, and we expect the race to start in about 5 to 6 minutes from now. And we are in commentary with Uffe Meltzer.
Yeah, looking at the task, I already saw that there is the start altitude, the maximum start altitude is 1,600 meters. which is not as high as it was
Yesterday.
yesterday evening when we had the cloud base at something like 3,000 meters. We can already see over here we've got UV flying at about 2,000 meters, and that's very close to the cloud base already, which means that the pilots will need to be quite careful not to get too low. Again, we are not flying at the maximal possible takeoff weight. There is a wing loading limit, which means that also at those higher speeds that pilots quite often like to fly at, Diana performance is going to be a little bit reduced. So that means that, this ground is going to be coming up very quickly if they start pushing the gliders to 200 kilometers per hour or more. So it's going to be a little bit tricky in that respect. I think looks like Klagenfurt airspace is not active, or we've got permission to enter the airspace to land on this international airport, which is great. So I think it's going to be a very, very exciting race.
Indeed. So there are very few airspaces active for this race, especially on the east side of the task near Graz airfield, which is a little bit bigger than Klagenfurt. We have those one active, but we negotiated very well, and those ones in Klagenfurt are inactive tonight. So it's nice. It's going to be a very nice task, I hope.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the strategy. Again, the fact that the cloud base is a little bit lower, that will definitely force pilots to be a little bit more careful. I don't think that we've got a big mountains to pass. So I would hope that we will not get a situation where pilots are stuck and cannot cross the mountains for a very long time. So it's all going to be about who's going to find the better lift, who's going to take better lines to extract all this energy from rising air along the task. And the best is going to win. It's going to be very interesting to see.
So the pilot,
Antoine, in terms of the wind, what sort of wind conditions are we having today?
So the wind is light. If I recall properly, it's 242 degrees for 14 kilometers per hour, and it's around 10 kilometers per hour in the Wick area in the north.
Okay, so we've got
from the southwest.
Yeah, so we've got a wind from the southwest, which will definitely work well with the thermals generated by the hills. Of course, if the wind is, for example, from the north, that would make the situation way more challenging, because the thermals would be forming on the southern side, which are exposed to the sun. But then with the northern wind, it would be quite tricky for the pilots to decide like on which side of the hill it's flying, on which side of the hill is most effective. But with this wind from the southwest, as you mentioned, and the sun being pretty much also shining from that direction, this should be reasonably straightforward to see where the thermals are in relation to the clouds. What about the thermal conditions in terms of variations? Are we having high variations in terms of thermal strength?
There are normal variations, and the thermals are moderate, but here the base weather is 5/8 or cirrus clouds, so you can see nice cumulus clouds and not very good cumulus clouds. So we'll need to pick the right ones to have good thermals, and then when they go to the north, then it's gonna go overcast 8/8 of cirrus clouds, and then no cirrus clouds at all in Slovenia, and just before reaching Slovenia, going to turn point 2. So big changes in the dynamic of the race today, I think.
Yeah, these serious clouds are definitely going to affect the weather quite a bit. They are going to make thermals significantly weaker, I would expect.
Mhm.
So it might be a little bit, very often I've done this mistake many times when I look at the weather briefing before the race. I very often miss the setting for the cirrus clouds. And if I see something like I don't know, strong thermals or maybe even moderate with a high variation, then pilots may get optimistic and think, oh well, we'll be
Exactly.
catching 3.5, 4.5 meters, which could then tempt them to push the stick, fly at really high McGreevy settings, just to be surprised later on. Like what's going on? Why are these clouds so weak? Why this is the third cloud in a row, and I'm only getting like 1.2 meters or 1.5 when I was expecting 3.
Yeah.
So I would expect that maybe some pilots will get caught out by this little nuance of the task. So well, we will see. But that's part of the game. Part of the sport is to really look at the briefing very carefully, see all the little details in the briefing, because very often missing something small in the briefing well can be very costly later on.
Exactly. You have top left the race in time, so the gate will open in 10 seconds.
All right,
9,
great.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. The race is on. Let's go for race 4 of the FAI eSports Series 2025 in Austria, with all the pilots starting here on the east side of the gate, from what I see.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense because it looks like some pilots have decided to go a little bit on the left side because I think because of this cumulus cloud.
Yeah.
So they just wanted to use the lift straight away, straight after starting. We can already see, I think Zbyszek is probably here on the left side, and also Andreas flying just towards this cloud to extract a little bit of energy from it. But then I would expect them to probably, as we can see, there is nothing in front of them, so they will probably turn a little bit to the right, and then they will follow the hills and the where there is a few more clouds, and I think that's how they will try to carry on flying towards the 10.1.
So, Vitold, what do you think are the options here? It looks like there are two main options for now.
Yeah, it looks like some guys again they chose to fly under these two clouds, which were just just be on the other
Yeah, on
side of the
track.
start line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a group of pilots who decided to go towards the hill straight away. Looks
Yeah.
like there are also two clouds over here, so I think both strategies are well potentially quite good. It looks like the group on the left is a little bit more careful, or maybe they found a really good lift under this second cloud because they're already thermaling. To be honest, that's, I think, a good decision because, again, they just started at 1,600 meters. The ground will be coming up to them very quickly. So staying high, well, it's especially at the beginning of the race is definitely a good decision. Over here, as we can see, Arne is doing exactly the same. He just found some lift and decided to climb. I think Arne is on the right side, right? He's on this on the
I
group that flew on the right. Yeah,
I think so. I think he's going to go towards the hills, because
yeah.
we've seen indeed that there was a few cumuluses going to the hills and on top of the hills, but on the straight route as well, there was a small gap, but then you add cumuluses again. So I think both options are going to be very interesting. It was very similar this afternoon for the start of the race in Slovenia, with a few hills on the right as well. So it must remind them something, really. But the turn point one was much closer, and there was no weather zone that was weak there towards turn point one. So it's still different, but for sure it reminds them something.
Well, experienced pilots know this, but for those pilots who are maybe just starting in Condor, is maybe worth saying that the lift or the thermals are usually stronger in the hilly areas because the hill is at better angle to the sun, so it absorbs more energy, and as a result, it could generate a stronger lift. So usually flying close to ridges, close to hills, is a better idea because that's where the stronger lift is. And of course, the higher you are, the closer you are to the top of the ridge, well, the better the thermals are going to be as well. So that's why some of these pilots have decided, like Arne, they've decided to climb straight away as high as they can. So then they probably hope to join the top of this little ridge. And as we can see, there's a lot of clouds near the top, and they will have more choice. There is going to be more clouds providing lift there, and well, which gives them two things. First, it gives them higher average speed if they can climb fast, and second, gives them security because they will be high enough to reach many more clouds and pretty much stay high.
Thank you, Witold, for your analysis for this start in Austria near Klagenfurt. So two options, but as you can see, going towards the hills is not easy because it's quite flat, and those are not really good mountains. Let's say they are just hills to start with. But then I know it's going to be steeper. Better ridges, so we will see. But the wind is not that strong as well, so for sure better thermodynamic there, better thermals. But I'm not sure it's gonna be worth it. We will see. Nice
Yeah.
one here, nice thermal here.
Yeah, I can already see. 3.5 meters. Piotr is thermaling at 3.5 meters, pretty much at the same rate as Arne, I think, and everybody else. There is Kuba below them, Uwe, pretty strong pack. Everybody trying to get to the cloud base. Looks like they are trying to be really careful at the beginning of the race. I think they understand that the race is not won in the first 10 kilometers of the task, that they need to be a little bit patient, they need to be careful. There was a small group of pilots pushing ahead, taking a little bit of risk. Well, we will see how this will play out. Maybe they will get a really strong lift closer to the hills, but I'm just a little bit worried that if they arrive to these hills at quite low, it's going to be very challenging to climb.
Yeah, and you don't have a lot of options there. If indeed they don't find the strong lift, for sure they're gonna get passed by Arne Martin and this group, for sure. And then if they don't find any lift, they need to find another lift somewhere else, and it might be kilometers away from that and quite far away from their position. So
and we can
it's not easy.
Yeah, and we can see that majority of the clouds are on top of that mountains. So the guys who are really high now, they've got a choice. They can go maybe deviate a little bit to the right or to the left or somewhere, but pretty much all those all this lift will be available to them. It's going to be just a matter of choosing where to go and which one is the strongest. The guys who are really low, they may not have that choice. They may need to fly into the valley because they will be unable to reach the lift that starts on the top of those hills.
Yeah, and you can see the turn point at the back there, and indeed following those nice clouds may allow you to catch the last ridge before going to a turn point and be quite high to be able to go and come back there. So it's a good option, but going straight, I'm sure you can still join this last ridge going toward turn point one. So we will see which option pays off in the end. Very good view on this group here with Arne Martin and Piotr.
Yeah, I thought that Piotr was higher in the thermal, so it's interesting to see that Arne somehow ended up higher in front. That's
Indeed.
Maybe this is maybe just about leaving a thermal, just technique, being really gently with the controls to minimize the drag generated by the control surfaces of the glider. So even a little detail like this could mean that somebody will suddenly gain or lose, 10 or 20 meters. But yeah, I think that these guys are doing really well. They're in a good position. flying towards the hills. Now we've got Felix over here, who is also climbing quite fast, 3 meters per second. But the thing is that the guys flying behind, they will see exactly where he's thermaling. And this information means that they could, if they wanted to thermal, they could just arrive to his thermal and just go straight into a climb without needing any time to center the thermal. They would pretty much, it would be very easy for them to find the core of the thermal and climb really fast. And as we can see, majority of these guys are going to arrive higher. Kuba is now just pulling up. He's going to end up higher. Uwe the same. So it looks like the guys who climbed,
he left. So maybe there's something better in front, but it's very interesting that he left. Maybe it's because of the pressure, because you see the other pilots coming and they are joining indeed on top of you. So it means you're already lost a few seconds compared to them, and maybe you're like, okay, it's not enough, so I'm not gonna give them this thermal. I'm gonna try something else. Or and you take a risk when you do that. Or he was unhappy with what he got.
Yeah, I'm afraid that because the other guys, they did not even stop. We saw Kuba pulling up, we saw some other guys pulling up, but they didn't actually turn. They just pulled up a little bit. I'm pretty sure they could feel that this thermal is not particularly strong, and they just continued to push on. I think that Felix decided to stop there because he was running out of options, because he was getting low, and he probably also knew that he needs to get to this kind of area with this slightly higher mountains at a slightly higher altitude to be able to catch this lift from the clouds which are above the top.
Nice. Big pull up from Felix, Uwe, Arne Martin. And with the wind blowing against those hills, it gives a little bit of extra energy in the thermal. So probably a better thermals here than in the flatlands. Maybe we can go to Mike Delta Delta Alpha Whiskey 2 to have a look at what's going on there on the track between the start gate and turn point 1 to see what are the thermal conditions there. 2 meters per second, even less.
This is exactly what I was talking about before. As we can see in the middle of the valley, the thermal over here, we can see about 2 meters average, but the guys on the other side, they had about 3 meters. That makes a huge difference. And the other thing is that they don't really know how good the thermals are on the other side, because if you are flying like this, the other guys are too far away. You will not see them on your flam. You can't really see how fast they are thermaling. So another risk is that Patrick could think that he's actually got a pretty good lift, not actually realizing that flying along those hills, it's going to be way faster.
Exactly. We talked about this yesterday as well, saying like half a meter per second was already a lot, and that having the best climb rate was probably the best way to win in the end, because we are more or less all flying the same routes. Sometimes we have other options, but just having the best thermals makes a big difference at the end of the day.
So I personally think that it was a better choice to fly on the eastern side of the track to extract energy from those clouds which are above the hills. There's more of them. There's more thermals. The thermals are stronger. It was definitely a better choice. I just hope that people who chose to fly straight will not get into too much trouble, that they will at least be able to find enough thermals to pass, because I think there is a little pass to get to the first turn point. Not very high, because those hills are not terribly high, but there is, some altitude needed to even reach the first turn point. So I just hope that they will not get into too much trouble, that there will be enough thermals that, although maybe slightly slower, but at least they will be able to reach the first turn point. And here we see Andreas Weissman also climbing at about 2 meters per second. Mm-hmm. So there we go. I think that these two thermals give us a quite good indication of the fact that the thermals in the valley are a little bit weaker than those thermals on the hills.
But they are flying a straight route, towards turn point 1 here compared to the other guys. But I think indeed, I agree with you that the detour will pay off to go towards turn point 1. Can we have a 2D view quickly to see the packs that we have right here? So that's near Klagenfurt indeed, with the start and the groups widely spread.
Yeah, huge spread. People are flying all over the place. Yeah.
Can we get a close-up here, please, for a sec? Because we have everyone from all the servers here. I see David Redman, but I don't have his altitude here on the right. I don't think so.
Well, if
So
he's not on the top of the list, that probably means that he's quite
lower.
low. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 1,100 meters. So it's a very difficult start for David Redman,
Well,
who needs to climb.
he's pushing, he's risking. If he can find a good lift, well, he will gain some advantage. But again, it's a risky strategy.
Yeah.
It is a risky strategy.
Who else do we see? Charlie Sierra 2, Papa Whiskey Romeo. So Papa Whiskey Romeo is well placed, I think, as well, near the Kienberg mountain here, and he will be able to continue to the north. I think he's high enough, yeah, almost 2,000 meters. Alpha Mike is just behind, so that's not bad. Alpha Mike at 2,300 meters, so really well placed. Arne Martin, Eco Lima at 1,700, a little bit lower. Okay, very interesting. Thank you, Jean-David. So two big groups, let's say, and everyone is trying out some stuff and to get the best thermals after the start of the race.
Yeah, and another thing you touched on really important point in terms of the detour, that the guys flying to the right are making a slightly bigger detour compared to the people flying straight. But we need to keep in mind that what's really important is not how many kilometers you are from the actual track, is at what angle you are flying to the track.
Yeah.
So even though they are not exactly on the track, even though they had to go to the right, they flew at a very small angle to the actual direction in which they, ideally would like to be flying, which means that's not much in terms of a loss. That's just a little investment, but it will definitely pay off if you do something like this. And because of that, if you could get to stronger lift.
I'm looking at the speed from Arne Martin here, 206 kilometers per hour. So that's the ground speed. So with the TAS, so true airspeed and the wind here. So that's still quite high because it needs to cover a gap of probably 10 to 15 kilometers towards the next cumulus. I think if you can show the what's in front, Jean-David, please. Thank you. So there is the ridge that he wants to get, and this will help him to go to turn point 1. And I think you need to be quite high before leaving this sector here. And I think he's flying fast to go there.
Yeah, at 2,000 meters, flying about 200 kilometers per hour. But this is obviously ground speed. He's indicated is probably like 180, 190 indicated airspeed. That's kind of considering the fact that they
maybe
just
70, maybe 170.
Yeah,
I think indeed I would fly between 170, 180 probably indeed.
Yeah, so considering they just had a thermal which was almost 3 meters per second. It kind of it is still a reasonable speed, but again, I think that they just need to be careful. McGreedy theory and speed to fly is not always the most important thing, because even if you fly at the ideal McGreedy speed, but then you arrive to the next mountain ridge is really, really low, and will struggle for the next half an hour to find ridge. It's not particularly good that you were following the speed to fly perfectly. So there are, and that's the beauty of the sport, that sometimes you need to be able to make those kinds of decisions, that even if the lift was quite strong, you fly conservatively, you fly slightly slower, to make sure that next time you catch a lift, you can do that quickly without searching for it for too long, and that it's going to be a quite good lift. But I can see that I think Anne is going to arrive at a reasonable altitude to this next mountain. So hopefully everything will be okay. He will be able to find some thermals there and continue. Right.
So we are with TBA behind, and yeah, I wanted to have a look at Jet Kilo 7 Yarek here because
Yeah.
he's on the track to turn point one. And as you can see, he is much more west than those guys, and he's climbing again at 2.5, maybe 3 meters per second would be very good for him. But indeed, it's not as good as on the hills. But it's a small hill, so I think the thermal is a little bit better here still.
Yeah, he's got a very good thermal, and I did spot him when we were looking at the 2D map that
Yeah.
he was very close to the leaders of the race. As you said, he didn't have to make any deviations. He flew in a straight line, which is always a good thing. He did manage to find a pretty good thermal. So far so good. But the only thing is that, well, I think that now he's in a really good position because he doesn't need to make a huge deviation. If he could climb to the cloud base here, I think that he could just fly at a small angle to join some thermals on the mountains that we can see in front of them. So I think that he's doing very well so far, and he's in a very good position.
I do
Yeah.
agree. It's not, at least in one of the best positions for the guys going on track. Maybe we lose a few minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes compared to the others, to Alpha Mike and so on. We will see in the upcoming minutes, but interesting track and option.
Yeah. So again, these guys, the leading pack, are arriving, and as you can see, look, they arrived pretty close to the top of this mountain. There's nice, almost like a cloud street. There's quite a few thermals forming, along those ridges. We can already see X-ray. I believe it's X-ray 17 climbing quite fast. I think it's actually quite a good decision to maybe do a couple of turns here to get closer to the cloud base and then use this stronger lift closer to the cloud base and fly along it without stopping anymore between here and the next endpoint. I think it might be possible that if he could get close to the cloud base, he would probably be able to continue without stopping. And
I agree.
Yeah, 3 meters, 3.1 meters, 3.2 meters per second climb. I think that maybe the guys who continued without stopping here missed a little bit of an opportunity here to climb.
Yeah, just to join the ceiling, and you need to be sure that they can stay up really high and they can just enjoy the little bit of wind blowing against the ridges, just staying on top of the ridges, and indeed enjoying the best lifts that are right there on top of this nice mountain that we have here.
It is possible that the guys, as they were flying, because there's so many clouds on top of this ridge, that maybe they were flying in constant lift. So they decided, okay, if there are just thermals next to each other, we will just continue straight on. We'll just slow down a little bit, maybe climb at something like, I don't know, fly 140 kilometers per hour, climb at about 2.5 meters. If that was the case, then that would justify why they didn't stop and why they decided to continue. But I think it would be a very good idea to end up at the cloud base at the end of this ridge.
I like what I've seen with Franz Schleswig here. He's seen X-ray 17 leaving the thermal. He was 50 to 100 meters below, and he decided to stay here to indeed get on top, reaching the ceiling before leaving and not rushing, not being like, okay, there is a competitor here, I really need to follow him, I don't want to lose him, and so on. He was really calm to take the decision to me, and it's really good to see. And we can see as well that Arne Martin and Uwe finally stopped later on to get something, and I think it's a good one that they found. But I do agree with you. I think it was a better solution to stop before because you were sure that there was something good, and you were sure that you could continue with high altitude before going to turn point one. So I really agree.
Yeah, again, it all depends because obviously we are not sitting in the cockpits with them. We don't know exactly what the instruments are showing them as they are flying along the ridge. Yeah, look, Oscar 9, he climbed a little bit and now he's catching up with these guys who I think also have made a very good decision to stop because we are approaching the end of this ridge. So it's really time to get high to as high as possible to the cloud base to make sure that they arrive as high as possible to the first standpoint and extract as much energy from these hills as possible. And you've also touched on another really interesting point, which is about like what strategy people should take if they are trying to catch up with pilots ahead of them. And very often people think that you need to do is to push and fly fast and try to catch up. That's I think almost never works because if you try to catch the pilots in front of you by just flying faster, well, you will get lower and lower and lower, and as a result of that, the lift is going to be weaker, and it will result in you actually losing more time than gaining. So the best strategy to catch up with somebody is just to try to find a better lift, stop, get higher than the pilots ahead of you, and then you just need to hope that they will make a mistake. Of course, if they just carry on flying without making any mistakes, well, you are going to lose, but you are already behind, so that's fine. But if you just stop, try to climb, get to the cloud base, there's always a chance that they will get in trouble in maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and you will arrive above them with a big smile on your face. So there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see that after just not much time since the beginning of the race, we've got the usual suspects, the people who are actually leading the competition. We've got Frank over here in the leading pack. We've got Anna. We've got Uwe. I think that's kind of that shows that these guys, they've got a very good feel for where they're supposed to fly, how fast they're supposed to fly, and when to stop and climb.
Exactly. And we can see turn point 1 here, and what we can see as well is that the cumuluses are kind of disappearing right now, and the cloud base is getting lower. There is a small cumulus on the right, close to Arne Martin, I think. So it's quite low.
Yeah,
You can see they are much more thin.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they are a little bit on the lee side, and maybe there's a bit more sinky, so that's why they're flying so fast.
Yeah.
But when I see 217 on Arne's speed, I think that this is the time maybe that they should try to fly a little bit more carefully, just preserve the altitude, because it just doesn't. Again, I can't quite see. It's not like we are not sitting here with the VR headsets that would allow us to look around and see what's happening after the first endpoint. But it looks like they may need the altitude, because the time of such a strong lift as they had a couple of minutes ago, is not going to happen for quite a while. They will need to wait for a bit to find another strong thermal like this. I'm not sure what the strategy now is supposed to be. I think that maybe is it possible that they could try to return to the hill that they just came from?
They can do that. But it's definitely not the shortest way to do it. Look at the sink that Arne Martin is getting right now, minus 4 meters per second, and he's accelerating because it's quite bad.
Yeah, that would definitely justify why he's flying so fast, because obviously you want to get out of the sink area as quickly as possible. So of course flying at a high speed helps. So yeah. It will be interesting to see what's happening behind the Arne, like what the other guys are doing, because I think the Arne and
I think Uwe and Frank slowed down. Indeed, I think if we get the view, because I was like seeing Uwe, like this. Indeed, I see Marcin May as well, close to this pack. TBA.
So Pierre, okay.
Yeah, Pierre, really nice. Nicely flown, Pierre. What's the speed of Uwe and Oscar 9, please? And the altitude? If we can go on their view. Thank you. So 190, a little bit slower, but still fast, obviously. And
I
just keep the view. Yeah, let's have a look at the turn point 1, and then we can have a look at turn point 2.
so
Well done,
yeah,
Pierre Lefebvre, for turning turn point 1. Arne Martin Guttler, second, right here. So
at a similar altitude, about 2,000 meters, and looks like Uwe. Yeah, all of them are pretty much arriving at reasonably high to the first endpoint.
yeah, well done. 126 kilometers per hour average for this leading pack. So that's really good. Front figure right here. Nice.
So it looks like we've got this group of again Pierre in the league with average speed of 120, almost 127 kilometers per hour, and we've got about 5 guys pretty close together, or maybe 6, and then there's a little bit of gap, and we've got a chasing group who is at the moment about 5 kilometers per hour slower. But again, it's a long race. If maybe they decided to preserve a little bit of altitude and fly a bit slower towards the second turn point, it's interesting to see that nobody's actually coming back to the other ridge. They decided to fly straight. Let's have a look at the cloud. Oh yeah, that makes it would make absolutely no sense to go back, because we can see in the distance that there are some nice clouds there. The only thing is, the only question is, can they arrive there at high enough to actually catch some lift?
Exactly. That's what I have designed.
So again, at this point, they are probably looking at the cross sections in the flight computers to see at what altitude they are going to arrive to this next mountain. I just hope that they've planned it right and that they will arrive there high enough to find some good lift.
As you can see, there are a few hills on the right side here. If you look at the wingtip from Uwe, and just behind the biggest hill there, you have a weak cumulus that is forming, but I think it's going to be a weak thermal air, probably. And then I think they are all aiming indeed at this ridge that we see with nice cumulus clouds, well-formed clouds that are out of this overcast cirrus cloud cover that we have above our heads right now. Thank you. 2D view, you can see the ridge that they are all flying on top, well above right now. Arne Martin, Uwe. I see Vic Schoenmakers as well, who is flying on an over server with Alex in Alpha Echo X-Ray. I think the guys from the Netherlands are flying together in another server because the top 3 from their country is there. 93 Sierra Mike Whiskey. Okay, quite good. So we have already 10 to 15 pilots who went through turn point 1, and 25 pilots to 30 pilots just coming in the next 5 minutes. And then a few pilots are struggling here. You can see even Papa Hotel Sierra went to the west there to maybe catch a thermal because they were super low. I don't know. Very interesting. The task is not easy, and we are following the ones that are leading. Those are the most experienced pilots in Condor. They're flying super fast and so on, but there are as well pilots who are here for their first event. They are flying their first competition, so for sure they fly much slower, and it will get them some more experience to be able to fight with the top ones here that we are obviously following. And you will see at the end of the day, there will be a difference of maybe 30 to 40 kilometers per hour difference. So we will see that. But obviously, the level of the pilots is very different.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting to see on the 2D view that David Redman got a little bit stuck He didn't manage to go across the end of this reach on the first leg, and as a result, lost quite a bit of distance to the leading pack. We also saw Vic going a little bit further to the west, following more direct route. I'm not sure about the mountains, like what the if we could have a pan the camera a little bit to the right to see what the lift on that side looks like, because that's where Vic went. It doesn't look particularly promising. So I think that probably these guys going a little bit more to the east, if they can catch now, ideally, if they could catch a good lift at the beginning of this um, hills, they would really be in a good position.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm really looking forward to see what is going to be the first thermal here. If it's going to be really good, 3 meters per second again, or if it's going to be weaker than that. I think it's going to be good, but with their altitude, we need to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, but if they just follow these ridges, there's large clouds all over it. They will eventually, stumble onto into a good lift. Looks like ideally it would be nice if they could catch something really nice at the beginning, but even if not, if they could, I think pretty much continue along these hills without losing too much altitude. So that's always a bonus. You can carry on flying, and you don't have to be worried too much about losing your altitude until you eventually get into a strong thermal. That's when you can just stop, climb to the cloud base, and continue. And I think that's what we can see right now. As you can see, the vario, the average is about like 0.1. That means that there is some lift on those ridges. Yeah, and Uwe now decided to stop.
He is the first one to join
Yeah,
the thermal here.
yeah.
And if you're following us on Twitch, we just asked a question here on Twitch that you can answer. You go on our Twitch channel, FAI Virtual Gliding, and then we have a new question for you. Who is going to turn point two first? And you have 5 options: Alpha Mike, Uwe, Meltzer, X-Ray 17 with Pierre, Kuba in Kilo Juliet, or Oscar Niner with Frank Schwetzweger, the leader of this event so far. So 5 options for you, and you can answer on Twitch with us. Thank you.
Yeah. So looks like
Do you have a bet, Vitold?
well, it's I'm a little bit biased. I think that Cuba will get to the next point fast. So
Okay.
my bet is on Cuba.
Okay, I did a bet on Twitch for Oscar Niner for Frank Schwetzweger.
That was easy because
Yeah,
you just went with somebody who's
I
on the
know it
top.
is good. But
Not
you can bet. Anyone can bet.
it's not. I don't want to take anything from Frank, but of course, he's a quite safe bet because, well, he flies very consistently, and he is now in the lead. On top of this gaggle over here. So obviously, he is in a pretty good position to be the first one to reach the next standpoint. Yeah, I don't know what happened with Maciek, because it looks like this Victor Zulu 6 in the distance. I think that's Maciek, who is now currently in the
Yeah,
second position in the
in the
whole
overall.
competition.
Yeah.
But I think there's something happened there. He got a bit stuck, and now he's quite a bit behind this leading group over here. No, I'm really sorry. I don't think that the Victor Zulu 6 is Maciej. I think it's Victor Zulu, sorry, Victor
Yankee?
Lima Zulu, which is on the
Okay,
bottom.
so that's good.
Can we switch for a second to Victor Lima Zulu?
But I'm not sure he's on server D in
Yeah,
the end.
he's in this goggle. I could see him on the bottom, Victor Lima Zulu. Yeah,
Oh, so that's Victor Zulu C, Zoltan Varga, that
so
we know.
that's Zoltan. So apologies, everybody. I mixed up the competition numbers.
So
For a second, I thought that Maciej is in trouble, but no, Maciej, I think, is in the same thermal with everybody else in this leading pack. It was Victor Lima Zulu. Maciej is Victor Lima Zulu.
okay, let's see if we have him. I'm going to check as well on the 2D view quickly if we have him there.
It might be difficult to see him because he's in this goggle, so he will have everybody's competition numbers on top. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Maciej over here doing quite well. Again, currently in the second place overall in this competition,
Oh yeah.
and still in a pretty good position with the leading pack, with a bunch of really experienced pilots in front of him,
Yep.
who will be helping him to find some good thermals along the way. So, yeah, so far he's doing great. And I quite like that these guys, despite seeing that other gliders have already left the thermal, they're staying with it, climbing to the cloud base, and not trying to catch up too quickly by leaving the thermal too early. Yeah, Zbyszek looks like we forgot a little bit to mention Zbyszek. Zbyszek is already at the cloud base as well, not that far away behind the leading group. So also in a quite good position.
Very nice. Felix Neuberger in 93 is in front of him. You can see they're pushing, pulling, and they are all trying to join the top of this mountain here to get the maximum of energy out of it. It's quite good. Good weather is back for the pilot, and it's going to be even better later on towards turn point 2.
And is 93, is that Janis?
No, it's Felix Neuberger.
Felix, okay. Felix also is doing quite well. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that the race is still open, and anybody in this group is in a very good position to win this race.
Yeah, very experienced and talented pilots here. And they flew really well this afternoon again. I didn't fly with them on their server, but looking at the results, they flew super well again. And there was a very nice cloud street this afternoon on top of a mountain chain for like 50 kilometers, and it helped a lot everyone to get through the difficult times laying ahead with the thunderstorms and the rain showers that they had this afternoon. So they were all very happy with the task this afternoon. So that's good. And tonight, no rain showers, but you've seen some weak areas, and we are going to go into at least stronger thermals later on with higher cloud bases. In Slovenia, we are in Austria right now towards turn point 2, Slovenska deck.
Yeah, looking at this group over here again, we've been watching them since the beginning of the race. I'm in general a very critical person. I always find something to criticize, but to be honest, looking at these guys, I do not see a single thing that they've done wrong so far. I think they're doing an excellent job. They've done like everything right so far. The choice of the route, going a little bit to the east after start, then climbing to the cloud base, following the cloud street, then managing the energy well to arrive quite high to the regions that they are currently flying above, just enough to find the strong thermal at the beginning, getting to the cloud base again, and pushing on along this cloud street. Just perfect execution, I would say.
Yeah, you can see really a nice flight here. They're flying very well, flying just above those hills to get the energy, trying to get the maximum of energy for Frank Schwetzfeger here in Oscar Niner, stopping in a good thermal before jumping, because I think there is a 15 kilometers gap between this hill and the next one, maybe.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this is the time to stop again, to climb, to be high in order to reach, be able to make this jump to the next hills. I think Uwe decided to push on. Well, we will see how. Maybe he will find another thermal slightly further down the task, but I think that thermaling here, getting here to the cloud base, and again we can see Marcin climbing with more over about 3 meters per second average. that's pretty good. It's definitely a good decision to stop here and climb to the cloud base. We can see that Anna and Kuba decided to do exactly the same, get really high. I think they understand that they need to be as high as possible before they can make, well, before they decide to make a jump to the next hills.
2,500 meters almost here, so that's quite good for the pilots who are, I think, really enjoying the weather of the day. I really like this landscape of Slovenia tree. So that's the base landscape that you get when you buy a condor tree, and then you can have additional landscape for free. Um, there are several landscapes. The second one that is well known is AA tree for Arc Alpin tree, which is the chain of the Alps, and you get all the airfields that are around the Alps in France, Germany, Austria, Slovenia, and so on, which is quite big. And it's a good thing to have a few landscape installed after you buy Condor tree. We are with Isa, so we have women flying Condor and flying tonight with us. So she's joining turn point 1 in a few minutes at 1,800 meters. So that's quite good. And then I suppose that she will follow the small hill on the right that we see that the leading pack was following a few minutes ago. Well done, Isabelle, for turning turn point 1 in a few seconds. And if you are a lady, of course, you can join us as well for any race. There are no differences between men and women in gliding, so you can just come and race with us to any event or competition. Thank you, Jean-David, and well done, Isa, for turning turn point 1.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that Isa is flying a little bit slow. It looks like she's trying to be careful because, again, she can see that there is a big gap between her current position and the next cumulus clouds. So yeah, that's good planning. Being a little bit careful to make sure that she can reach next clouds. Well done.
It's never easy when you start to do competitions. It needs a lot of experience to race as fast as the leaders here. As you can see, there is already a big gap between the leaders and the ones that are again still on the first hills. I wonder if, yeah, indeed, there is a group that went back to the hills, going to turn point 1. I can see EY, Davis Chapins, but I think they are not on our server. Golf Echo 7 is on our server. So maybe we can go back to the 3D view on Golf Echo 7 and this small group here to see what they have done and what is their position compared to UV and so on, and their altitude.
Yeah, I can see that this worked pretty well in a very similar way to the main group on the left side. Looks like they are in roughly same position in terms of the distance. I'm just not sure about how high they are because looks like
2,100 meters.
yeah, Golf Echo 7 is at 2,770 meters. I think that the guys on the left are a little bit higher because they just climbed. Yeah, I was wondering also what happened with Vik, Kilo Oscar
Yeah.
Echo, yeah, because he had a. I'm not sure. I don't think that he went all the way to the west. I think he had kind of like went in between. So
Okay.
I just wonder how this worked out. But yeah, looks like that both parts, the one to the left, to the eastern side, and the one a little bit more to the left, were kind of similar. Although the guys who are flying on the eastern track are definitely higher now.
Yeah, from what I see on the 2D view, so Kilo Oscar Echo is really far behind Alpha Mike and the other guys. He went back to he went to the hills on the east side, Yeah, thank you for the 2D view here. And his next to is next to Alpha Echo X-Ray and the group, yeah, and Sierra Oscar India. So you can see Sierra Oscar India, Alpha Echo X-Ray, X-Ray Yankee is in this group on the hills east side of the track. But as you can see, Arne Martin, Uwe, and Oscar Niner and Kuba, they are far ahead right now. Probably 15 kilometers of difference between those guys right now. Indeed,
But I think
Kilo
that
Carico is right here.
yeah, Echo Yankee is quite high as well. He's 2,050 meters, and he's just and Davies Chaplin's Delta Charlie 1. They're just joining Juliet Alpha Mike there and Kilo Juliet. So looks like these two groups are going to merge on those hills, and they seem to be on quite comparable heights. Looks like Kuba decided to push on a little bit. The group with Anna and Frank, Oscar 9, and Alpha Mike, they went a little bit further to the east. We can see on the track that there was a quite sharp turn, and they flew for a little bit at a quite high angle to the ideal direction. So that probably will cost them a little bit. But of course, if they manage to fly under the cloud base, preserving the altitude, this could potentially pay off. And we can see just in the bottom right corner of the map, there is a next really nice ridge with quite white colors. So that means that there's not much forest on it, which means that must be a quite high mountain. So it could potentially generate some good lift. So maybe that's what they're hoping for, that they would just fly along this ridge on the left side. Yeah, and it's also interesting to see that these guys not so long ago were just in the same thermal. They were thermaling together, and now we've got quite a big spread. They decided to go different ways. Some of them went a little bit further to the east, hoping that they will fly longer following the ridges. Some of them decided to take a bit of a shortcut and fly just more direct route towards the next endpoint. Uwe decided to stop, and he's climbing very fast. Or maybe that was just, or that was David. I think that he was just pulling up, entering the thermal. So that's why we saw for a second or two 5 meters on his average variometer. But we can see that this thermal is actually, Uwe is already establishing a climb. We can see his climb rate to be over 3 meters. So that was a pretty strong thermal and probably a good decision to stop. Kuba decided to push ahead, Kilo Juliet. We will see how high is he. Yeah, Kuba is now at 1,800 meters, which is still quite high. He's not in the risk of getting into too much trouble, but he will probably try to find some good lift here. The only disadvantage is that probably if he finds something really nice, the guys following him will get a little present, and they will get a very nicely marked thermal that they will just join without the need of any centering. So yeah, Kuba, that's a very strong lift. The average is showing over 4 meters quite consistently. Of course, as soon as I said that, the readings dropped before 4 meters, but it's still a pretty good climb. Right, X-Ray 17 is doing a great job so far. He's been in the lead or close to the lead for majority of the race. We didn't talk about him too much, but it looks like he's doing a great job today, and is actually managed to make a little bit of distance between himself and the rest of this group.
Thank you, Vitold. Apparently, I was lost somewhere.
Yeah,
But I'm back.
You disappeared from the screen, but okay. Yeah, I was just saying is about X-Ray 17. That's well, one of you colleagues from France, Pierre, doing really well. Again, we didn't talk about him too much during today's race, But so far, I think that we are probably more than halfway through the task, or around halfway, and
Yeah,
he's in the lead really high,
I'm
2,100
afraid.
meters.
I'm afraid he's going to the wrong turn point three here.
Oh, so what is going on? Oh, this is a big mistake, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason why he's flying towards the 10.3. He should be going left towards the 10. For a second, I thought that, this is the next 10 point, but you're right. He is just flying in the wrong direction. Somebody probably told him.
I hope.
So Antoine, was that you just
No,
sending him a text message? It's like,
no,
come on, mate.
I don't know him personally, and I don't even have his text in me. So that's quite funny. And I don't even know if he's connected in voice. Yes, he's connected in voice on open for I see, but
Maybe,
no.
maybe, maybe, maybe he's listening to us or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know
there
some
you go.
pilots are watching us as well on the site. So maybe, probably he was listening to us, or he just realized by himself. So funny.
Yeah, maybe he just looked behind and
So
saw that
that
everybody else is flying in the
that
wrong direction.
that was his moment.
Yeah, but
Talking-
that's a risk of
oh
being
yeah,
in front of everybody. And we had a very similar
exactly.
situation in a real world competition. If you remember in Pavolo, when Sebastian Cava was in the lead, and unfortunately he programmed the wrong task into his flight computer,
Yeah,
and because he was in a league, he just flew in the wrong direction,
yeah,
completely wrong direction, and as a result, it costed him a world championship.
mm,
Because I think that was in that race, I think
yeah,
that just pretty much ended his chances to win the world championship. So unfortunately, mistakes like that happen. Those who flew in Condor for a reasonable amount of time have made many of them. I personally have, you wouldn't believe how stupid, things
yeah, yeah.
sometimes, like mistakes
Things,
can happen.
yeah, so
So,
quickly. It happens so quickly.
so somebody could, maybe try to make a fun of a mistake like that. Well, I perfectly understand, things like this, because I've done those things many times.
Mhm.
Just something, a little
Yeah,
mistake that is very costly.
yeah, but that's how you learn. You only learn from your mistakes in the end, and all the guys flying, like beginners or intermediate pilots flying tonight, they will make a lot of mistakes, and they will learn so much from making those flights. So it's indeed always interesting to fly, even if sometimes you're flying in difficult conditions and so on, because you always learn. And yes, sometimes you just make stupid technical mistakes, or you go to the wrong turn point or whatever, but then you do it once and you won't do it twice. Same, sometimes you just aim for a turn point, you go to the turn point, and you don't actually turn your turn point, you just miss it by 10 meters or 50 meters. It's super stupid, and then you get a huge penalty, or you just have 0 points for that. So it needs to happen.
Yeah, I think I'm not absolutely sure, but I think that there was something like this happened in race number 2, because I saw the list of the results and I saw that Arne, the current world champion, was, I think, not classified. He looked like he didn't start the task. I'm not sure what happened there, but there was something really strange with his results. And I think what I suspect happened, again, I didn't look into it into great detail, but I suspect that he just crossed the finish line a little bit too high, and as a result did not start the task. Yeah, and we've got this group over here climbing, trying to get to the cloud base again. There is quite a bit of a gap between the current position and the next promising cumulus clouds. So they are probably trying to gain a little bit of altitude before they continue. Yeah, and for Pierre X-ray 17, we could see that he was in a lead quite high, and just this little deviation, costed him a little bit, because now he is not in a lead anymore. looks like Marcin May took a really good path and managed to catch up with Frank and everybody else. And I think he might even be, I mean, Marcin might even be in the lead at the moment at quite comfortable height of 2,180 meters, flying along some nice cloud streets, pulling up to gain some more energy before going to the 10.2. The 10.2 is in the valley, so they will have to fly for a little bit without using any lift. So they will probably try to get. Yeah, this is a really nice view. We can see this nice cloud street. They will try to follow this cloud street and then dash towards the second turn point. It's going to be interesting what the pilots are going to do after this second turn point, because the more direct route is to the west, to the left after turning the turn point. Yeah, but I can see that the clouds there are a little bit scattered. I wonder if anybody will try to go back following the same path as they came to the second turn point and just go back along those hills and use those cloud streets again. Antoine, what do you think? Is it a good idea to go back to the eastern side after turning the turn point and following this cloud street, or is it too much of a detour?
Mm, both options are good. To be honest, I have a few issues, and I probably need to restart my screen, or I don't know why. So I can't see both things, but I think the cloud street that I see on the live streaming, though, is indeed quite good. I know that they are going to get into very good weather now. I think Marcin is already in a very good. Was already in a very good climb. So yeah, let's see. I think the finish will come very quickly.
So how big is this weather zone? Is it because you said that there is they can expect to see some stronger? I can definitely see no cirrus clouds, so that's at least something that is will help them. But there's not that many clouds here. There are some just ahead of Marcin on the left side. I suspect that he will probably try to go there, climb a little bit before just before turning the turn point. Right, it will be interesting to see what's happening behind Marcin. What's the situation in terms of the pilots chasing him, because he is now just flying towards the second turn point. Yeah, let's have a look behind. There we go. Okay, looks like Frank is really high, also in a very good position. Oscar 9, flying towards the next turn point. We also have the other group is quite close together. There's at least, I don't know, 5 or 6 pilots flying together. So Tango Bravo Alpha, I think that he is a little bit behind this leading group. There we go. That's a good shot that shows us the situation just behind the leaders. Maciej Victor Zulu Lima, currently in the second position in the competition, is also in a very strong position at this moment in time. He's following those in the lead very high. If he continues like this, that's going to bring him some more points today. Right, we could maybe have a look at behind Tango Bravo Alpha, maybe see who's in the following group, because it looks like there's another group of pilots just behind him.
Sorry, I think I hope to be back for good now. It won't disconnect again. I had complete failure. Sorry for that, and thank you, Vitold, for covering up the live streaming without me. I see Thierry, TBA, well placed here, so that's good.
Yeah, we went through a little bit of a chain of
I've
gliders
I
following
see that.
the leaders. Right, and as yesterday, it looks like we've got a big, long train of gliders. There's quite a bit
Yeah,
of spread. Yeah,
Oscar Niner back with the leaders,
yeah,
slowing down.
he was a little bit higher, leaving the previous mountains, and that
Hmm.
allowed him to regain the lead in the race. Marcin is right behind him with Uwe and Kuba, although Kuba, I think, he might be just a little bit lower. I can't quite see 93 once again. Who was
Felix
90?
Neuberger
Felix,
in
right.
93.
Okay, Felix number. Okay. He's trying to stay with the leading group, but unfortunately, he's a little bit lower.
Hmm.
This is a bit risky because he might not be able to find a lift which is as strong as these guys will catch, because they are quite close to the cloud base. There is just it's going to be just easier for them to find a stronger lift.
Yeah, I do agree. It's sometimes difficult when you are falling a little bit behind to just give up on the guys you are chasing and just be back and do your own flight, because you know they're too far ahead, and you cannot fight anymore, and they are just leading, and that's it. You are lower, and you must accept it. It's good to attack and to try to find a better thermal. Sometimes it works, but sometimes you just end up losing 10 more places by not admitting that you're not gonna make it to the top today, and you must accept the top 10 sometimes to get still some very good points and to continue to have a very good overall scoring at the end of the event.
Yeah, that's also, again, you've made a very good point that very often people forget that this is more like a marathon rather than sprint. Well, this competition is not particularly long because I think the 6 races count towards the final score.
Yeah.
But like you said, sometimes it's just better to try to focus on minimizing the losses. So instead of trying to win a particular race, just to slow down a little bit, save the current position, arrive to the finish line. Maybe instead of scoring 1,000 points, maybe score like I don't know, 900, which is still a good result and will pay off overall in a long run, and will contribute to your points at the end of the competition. So definitely, chasing the leading pilots at all costs and risking that you will get really, really low, get stuck for half an hour, or either outland or get to the finish line scoring 500 points rather than
Mhm.
900, that could make a big difference in your overall results. Looks like Felix has already decided to go back. I was wondering about what they are going to do.
Yeah.
He decided to go back to the eastern side. Looks like he really liked the lift there. The good thing is that they already flew there, so they know what to expect.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they are I'm just wondering if other pilots will do something different, if anybody will go to the left. I'm not sure what Frank is doing. Is he going to the east side or to the... He
Seems
seemed to
not.
be
Yeah,
a
going
bit...
to Spisek's way. And so we are at top point two, Slovenj Gradec. Felix Neuberger was the first one to turn
Oh,
point two. Marcin May, Uwe, Frank already turned it. Kuba is joining.
yeah,
Pierre, Arne
okay.
Martin, and Zbisek are then following. And we are going to turn point three, Saint Paul, which is 31.5 kilometers away. Then they're going to need to go to the west for 35 kilometers, and then there are only reporting point and the finish line. So not much to go. It's a 227 kilometers race.
So about 75 kilometers to go, right? 70, 75, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, so I don't think that they are
exactly.
yet on the final glide. and there is also a minimal altitude on the finish line. But yeah, so it looks like we were not very successful in our betting because neither Kuba or Frank reached the second turn
You're
point
right to
first.
get back on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, there you go. Felix managed to
Yeah,
do it first. So
well done.
whoever, like, if there were some bets on Felix, well done. That was the person to bet on. Yeah, there we go. It would be quite interesting to see what's happening in the 2D view now, to see what's happening on the other servers and how the other guys are doing compared to people on that server. That would be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, let's have a look at the 2D view while we are following still Franz Schwetzfeger here. Thank you, Jean-David. So, looks like we are with indeed our leading group.
Yeah,
Who is leading?
the thing is that it's going to be, I did not think about the fact that if we look at the 2D view, we will have pilots flying in both directions towards the second turn point and back.
Yeah.
So maybe we should kind of come back to the 2D view in a few minutes. Oh, it looks like, I'm not sure, for example, if Juliet Alpha Mike, is he flying towards the second turn point or already coming back? So maybe we should come back to this view in a couple of minutes, when the situation will clarify a little bit, and then we will be able to see who's doing what.
Yeah, I think he went and he's just like Felix. He turned the turn point already.
They turned the turn point and going, you're right.
Yeah.
And Davis Chaplin's, I think, he might be in the lead.
Yeah. Delta Charlie 1, 1,431 meters. So he's quite low.
Yeah,
but
quite
indeed,
low.
He is in the lead. I do agree with you. I think he's the leader of this race.
Yeah. Davis Chaplin looks like he might be in the lead. What about Echo Yankee? I think he's also flying already towards the 10.3.
Yeah, Echo Yankee.
He's in this big group of pilots. Yeah, okay. He is.
Yeah, he's just joining 10.3 right now, I think.
No. Yeah. Echo Yankee is already on his way to the 10.3.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. Thank you for this 2D view. Back with Franz Schwetzfeger here, and you can have the view on 10.3, the reporting point and the finish line already. For us, they don't see that yet. I think they can see the 10.3, but they cannot see yet the 10.4 and the
I
finish
think
line.
the reporting point is still quite far from our current position.
Yeah. And they will get some headwind after sample, after 10.3, to go towards the finish line again. But it was the same this afternoon. Again, some headwind to come back. But we had super nice weather this afternoon, super nice cloud streets when we had to face the wind. So it was really, really nice for everyone. Everyone really loved it.
Right, maybe we could pan the camera a little bit to see what's happening behind Frank, because he's in the lead, nobody ahead of him. We could kind of see what is the situation in terms of the chasing
we have Uwe with him 141 kilometers per hour, and then so behind we have Marcin May, Kuba 140, Felix Neuberger. Yeah, behind him, Jean-David, please. Yes, thank you. Kuba, maybe let's have a view on X-ray 17 so that we can see all of the other pilots in front. On Pierre, thank you, and then let's have the view like this. Okay, thank you. That's a good overall view. We have Felix Neuberger 93, Alpha Mike in front, Oscar Niner, Uwe, and Kuba stopping in a thermal, and we have the other guys who are going towards turn point 2 right now, going behind us. So that's a good view, good overall view to see everything that is going on right here. Will they stop here? No, they are not stopping. And as you can see, they are going towards the hills again before going to the turn point 3. That's interesting. Maybe I wouldn't have done that, but maybe the cumulus just in front of us is not good. Maybe it's not as good as what they expected.
Yeah, looking at the current altitude, for example, here Pierre is at 1,600 meters. This cloud ahead of him obviously does not work because there was a bunch of pilots already tried to climb there and it didn't quite work. So flying towards the stern point without any clouds between their current position and the turn point at just 1,600 meters would mean that they would arrive to the turn point quite low, and they could get in trouble trying to fly then towards the 10.4. So I think that going to the right towards those clouds on top of the hills, where they know that the lift previously was quite good, I think that this is a good decision. And as we can see here, Frank managed to get to the top of the mountain just under those clouds. That is a really good spot. He's got a pretty good chances of catching a strong thermal here. And I suspect, yeah, we can already see Marcin and Kuba also joining him in the same thermal. But it's interesting to see that Uwe, maybe he was a little bit too low. As you can see, this is exactly what I was talking about previously. Just being, I don't know, 50 meters lower could potentially mean that you will not be able
to get the
find,
thermal.
yeah,
Yeah.
to get to the thermal.
Yeah.
Although now he's started,
He's trying
yeah.
something at least.
And to be honest, the clouds there are just ahead of this group look quite good.
Yeah.
So he might actually gain by just continuing because
Yeah.
maybe, well, there's a chance that he will just find a better lift.
Exactly.
To be honest, this cloud on top of it looks like it's dissipating a bit. So I
There is
think,
one dissipating indeed,
yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, both are dissipating. But sometimes they're still quite good. But indeed, probably the one with Uwe is better.
Yeah, sometimes what happens looks like Frank has now decided to, okay, that's enough of like
Yeah.
thermaling over here. This is getting too weak. Let's continue. Yeah, Cuba is still thermaling. I'm not sure. They will be looking around. They will try to see what other people are doing, and it's usually quite obvious when you look at other gliders which are, I don't know, 2 kilometers ahead of you, if they're climbing faster than you or not. So maybe Uwe's got a pretty good climb, 3.1 meters per second. These guys, they can see that on Flam. They will see that he's got a pretty good climb. So I'm a bit surprised that only Frank decided to leave the previous thermal and fly here to join Uwe. And exactly that's what I was just talking about. Look, now Uwe, he was way lower than Frank, but he definitely gained some altitude compared to Frank. They're now pretty much on the same altitude. So that's the beauty of Condor, that just one decision can make can have a very significant consequences.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you were here in the cockpit with them in the same thermal, what would you do? What are your thoughts now? What are you thinking about towards the end of the race at this moment? If you were here, Witold.
Well, it would all depend on my glide computer and
Okay.
what is it showing in terms of my final glide. Again, it's
Okay.
hard to decide. These guys, they rely quite heavily on the computers that they've got in the cockpit. So this is looks like the climb here is not that strong. Maybe, well, it varies a bit. So I would say that this is probably about 3 meters per second. So I would be setting my greedy settings on my glide computer. I would probably set it to something like 2.5 and see how much more altitude do I need to actually reach the finish line.
Okay.
And depending on that reading on the computer, I would then decide if I want to climb all the way to the top or just continue.
If you had to explain this to someone who's never watched gliding before, just quickly, final glide towards the airfield, what does that mean in just a very few words?
Well, if somebody's on a final glide, that just means that they will not have to stop anymore, that they can fly straight towards the finish line without that they're already high enough to be able to reach the finish line. And of course, the altitude required depends on how fast you want to fly. The gliders are, fly in a way that the faster you fly, the shortest, the shorter the distance that they can actually cover. So that's why you always want to match your speed during straight line flying to the climb, how quickly you can gain altitude in a previous thermal. So here they're climbing. This leads to something what's called the McGreedy settings, and this is usually just calculated by the computers that they've got in the gliders. So the very shortly, the idea is that you should fly at the McGreedy setting, which is the same as your last climb. So if they were climbing here at 2 meters, 2.5 meters per second, let's say, they should aim to reach the finish line at corresponding speed, at the speed that corresponds to this 2.5 meters. Yeah.
On Twitch, we have another question for you, an open vote again. The question is very easy. Who will win race 4? The bets are open, and you have a few options. Uffe, Meltzer, Oscar Niner von Schwetzweger, May, so Marcin May from Poland, Kuba in Kilo Juliet, or Felix Neuberger in 93. So 5 options for you. Maybe it will not be in those 5 options, but you can bet with us on Twitch. And Felix, right there, is maybe struggling a bit, but he has something to get some altitude, but does not seem to be easy.
Yeah, I wonder where Marcin May is. I think he's together with, I can see Frank and Marcin just flying behind now. Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah. Well, after betting on Kuba that he will reach the second turn point first, I don't think that I've got much choice. I think that I'll just have to bet that Kuba is going to win this race.
Okay. Okay. I will vote for Uwe, but it's easy when you see it. But he might not be the first. They are all together. It's really tight, and but I like Uwe. I like his style of flying. Maybe he will be overcome by someone else on the line, but I will vote for Uwe. Easy bet for me.
Yeah, I wonder. I think that they should have the final glide now, right?
I think so.
The speed? Yeah, this is about 50 kilometers to go.
Yeah, exactly 50 kilometers to go from now.
Okay, 50 kilometers to go, 2,000 meters altitude.
The altitude is 470 meters, 470 meters on finish line, minimum altitude.
So they've got about like 1,500 to play with. Yeah.
So almost there.
Yeah, so this might be just now a dash towards the finish line. So let's have a look what's happening. Do we have people I was wondering, what about Davis Chaplins? Because he was quite close to the leading pack, flying on a different server. I can't quite see him. Yeah, he's now just behind Uwe. How high is he? That's a good question, David Chaplins. Do we see him on the right side with the... He's 2,000 meters.
Is there?
Yeah, I can see him
2,000 meters. So that's quite good for Davis.
Yeah, he's not low. He is okay. So it's quite possible that the winner of this race is not going to be on the server that we are streaming.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible, but we are only betting on this server, okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too difficult. So just if you're just joining us, there are several servers because the servers are limited to 40 pilots for safety reasons in this Grand Prix style of races. The pilots are turning turn point 3, roughly 50 kilometers away from the finish line right now. That's the leading pack that's turning turn point 3 with Kuba. Uwe Meltzer just turned it, Frank Schwetzweger and Marcin May right here. And we're about to have a really nice finish. So stay with us, and you can vote on Twitch indeed for who will win race 4. You can place your bets there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting between Kuba, Frank, and Marcin. They are really close to each other. It looks like Frank's got a little bit more altitude compared to Kuba, but there is, we can see some clouds ahead of us. There is still a chance that some of them will fly through a lot of sink. While others may be able to catch a couple of thermals and just preserve the altitude a little bit better. So it's still not obvious who's really going to win the race. Uwe's got a significant advantage. That's quite clear. I'm not sure how many kilometers, but probably about, I don't know how, he's probably like 2, maybe 5 kilometers ahead of these guys.
Yeah.
But we can see Uwe. Oh no, he's not that far. Like 2 kilometers. Okay, exactly 2 kilometers. Kuba is 2 kilometers behind.
Not bad.
And we've got the only thing is that this is a relatively short distance to the finish line, because probably now about 20 something kilometers.
For a little bit less than 40.
Sorry, 20. I meant to say 20. About 20 something. Oh no, 40. Yeah, you're right.
40,
yeah. About 40. Also, 40. It's still quite significant.
Yeah.
2 kilometers in 40. It's now just a question: who's going to choose a better line?
Exactly. Maybe we can view from below a little bit to have a view of the cumuluses in front, and we've had the average speed before. On the left, you could see 135 average more or less for this leading pack, which is quite good. Thank you. Right there, you can see maybe one cumulus. Then what would you do here, Witold? Would you go to the left or to the right?
I would try to go to fly just directly under the middle of that cumulus.
Okay.
And then,
two big options. It looks quite good on the left. It looks quite good because the wind is blowing. You can see really the wind direction. It's really blowing this way. And if you want to go to the right, you need to kind of swap off line of Cloud Street to go towards turn point 3. So either you follow and then you turn right, or you turn right now. So
no, again,
I think they will cross to the right after those two cumuluses, but we'll see.
It might be tempted again. It might be tempted to just fly straight if they've got the energy already on the final glide. But then there is a risk that you fly between these two Cloud Street and experience a lot of sink.
Yeah.
And those guys who just flew following the energy lines may then catch you up if you kind of make a mistake like this. So it looks like all of them have decided to go left.
And you can see the push and pull. Every time you have a little thermal, they are just pulling a bit to gain some more energy. You can see Oscar Niner doing it. Marcin May now, you can see that they are really trying to optimize everything to get towards the finish line as quick as they can, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we already touched on it. Like the slower you fly, the lower the descent rate of the glider. So if you are flying through a strong lift, it pays off to slow down, reduce the sink rate of your glider, and gain altitude, be in a positive climb. And if you're in a sink, then you want to fly a little bit faster to get out of the sink area as quickly as possible, and in order not to lose too much altitude. So that's why these guys are trying to pull a little bit on the stick to slow down when they are in a lift, and they push on the stick, speed up, fly faster in the areas where they experience sink. Yeah, it looks like it was a very costly. I think the fact that Pierre flew towards, I think, the wrong turn point for a few, and not even for that long, probably, I don't know, 20, maybe 30 seconds. it costed him quite a lot, because
Yeah.
he was clearly in the lead, and well, he's still in a very good position, but it was a costly mistake.
And as you can see now, they all turn to the right here, and there is indeed a gap to join the next cumuluses with some headwind. You can see clearly, yeah, de-zoom a bit again, and zoom, and you can see all the cloud streets here, and the wing. Where is the wind coming from? It's coming from the southwest, and they need to swap and to reach another cloud street to get to the turn point 4.
So maybe it was a good idea to go to the right straight after the 10 point and follow the next cloud street, which is a little bit on the north. But looks like there's like 2 little small clouds on the way. So
Yeah,
I
it
think
is a pre-wing, I think, but it will give some energy.
at least it will reduce the sink.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. It's not always about flying in a lift. Just flying in a reduced sink, it's also a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is clearly nice clouds.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, they will preserve some altitude flying under those clouds.
They are less than 25 kilometers away, so they are on final glide. Indeed, they will need to pull a bit, but I think there's no way they are stopping right now. I don't see them stopping.
Well, it's hardly ever a good idea to stop when you are like on a final glide like this. The fact that you have to spend some time to find the center of the thermal, unless the thermal is very, very strong, then it's usually better to just slow down a little bit to be able to reach the finish line without stopping, rather than trying to stop to make something like 3 or 5 turns in order to gain some altitude. Because again, ideally, if you stop, you want to stop and climb in a strong thermal, gaining a lot of altitude. So
much more than what you predicted before your final glide.
Ideally, you would ideally, in a perfect world, you would like to go all the way to the ground and then climb all the way to the cloud base. Which means that this part of the flight where you have to search for the center of the thermal is the lowest percentage of you